I've been lately thinking about my life's time, all the things I've done and how it's been. And I can't help believing in my own mind. I know I'm gonna hate to see it end. Seen a lot of sunshine, sat out in the rain, spent a night or two all on my own. I've known my lady's pleasures, had myself some friends, spent a night or two all on my own. I'll have to say it now, it's been a good life all in all. It's really fine to have the chance to hang around and lie there by the fire and watch the evening tire while all my friends and my old lady sit and pass the pipe around and talk of poems and prayers and promises and things that we believe in. How sweet it is to love someone, how right it is to care. How long it's been since yesterday, and what about tomorrow? And what about all our dreams and the memories we share? Days they pass so quickly now, the nights are seldom long. Time around me whispers when it's cold. The changes somehow frighten me, but still I have to smile. It turns me on to think of growing old. It's though my life's been good to me, there's still so much to do. So many things my mind has never known. I'd like to raise a family, I'd like to sail away, dance across the mountains on the moon. I'll have to say it now, it's been a good life all in all. It's really fine to have a chance to hang around and lie there by the fire and watch the evening tire while all my friends and my old lady sit and pass the pipe around and talk of poems and prayers and promises and things that we believe in. How right it is to love someone, how sweet it is to care. What about tomorrow? And what about our dreams and all the memories we share?
This is a new day. Can you feel it? This is a new day full of sound and light, some coolness. It's blazer weather. And expectation. This day has been waiting for you. This day has been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms, just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. And please rise in body or spirit for our first hymn. Hymn 20, Be Thou My Vision. Hymn 20.
Be thou my vision, O God of my heart. Not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou my best thought by day or by night. Waking and sleeping, thy presence, thy light. Be thou my wisdom, and thou my true word. I ever with thee, and thou with me, God. Thou my soul shelter, thou my high tower. Raise thou me heavenward, O power of my power. Riches I need not, no world's empty praise. Thou my inheritance now and always. Thou and thou only, thou first in my heart. Sovereign of heaven, my treasure thou art.
Welcome, everyone. I love that hymn. That was a hymn at my ordination, if you remember that, for those who were there. Yeah, so make yourself cozy. Yeah, bring a chair wherever you'd like. It's good to see you all. Good to see our friends on Zoom. We have a stack of gray hymnals that have a technological purpose to bring the camera at just the right angle, that we can get someone who's at least 7 feet tall. So if I grow my hair out, we might be able to get it. So, so we have a couple really cool things. One is this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m., a conversation on democracy and theology. I don't know if you've seen the image in the update. Church, street, State Street, right next to each other. And our now former president, Susan Frederick Gray, we have a new UUA president, maybe you didn't know that. Yeah, just elected this year, Sophia Betancourt. But Susan Frederick Gray wrote an introduction to UU World on the theological underpinnings of democracy. And so I wanted to have a conversation about that. I think it'll be really fruitful, about what kind of perspective of what it means to be human, what it means to be in relationship with each other and with the world, supports a democratic society, and which views of ourselves and the world and each other might actually inhibit a democratic society. So I think it'll be really fruitful. Again, that's going to be this coming Wednesday at 7 p.m. It'll also be on Zoom. So for those who can't make it in person, it'll be on Zoom. But I think we'll do it in the boardroom. It's a little cozier and kind of nice. And then tonight at 7 p.m., you can join online on the Zoom link that you've clicked if you're at home or on your walk. Meditation with Linda Scharf is going to be today at 7 p.m. And now Melissa Smith with our chalice lighting.
One of the first topics I I proposed for a summer sermon when I became a candidate as to be commissioned as a lay minister, was covenant. At that time, I knew nothing of the workings of the General Assembly that year, but covenanted as a section of Article 2 of the bylaws has become a major part of General Assembly agenda. So in 2021, I researched the topic of covenant, the definition of which, as Reverend Joseph has proposed for this sermon, is promise. The rainbow, which is on your program, your order of service, was the covenant given by God in the Old Testament to Noah, promising that he would never again destroy the world by flood. American gospel music would later promise a fire next time, which writer James Baldwin would later use as the title of his most famous work, The Fire Next Time. Here at UUYO, we hang a rainbow flag as a covenant with the people of Youngstown and the wider world, a promise to respect all races and all genders, a symbol that embodies the UU principle to respect the worth and dignity of all people. Thus do we give God's promise to Noah an update for our time. We may not believe that the word of the Judeo-Christian Bible is literal historical fact, but we do believe in history. Two of our longest standing members are in fact retired faculty from Youngstown State University, Martin Berger, whose anniversary was yesterday, and Lowell Satri. Their areas of specialization, however, are German and English history. Members of the YSU faculty, of course, end up as generalists whether they like it or not. As a faculty member at YSU, my office was on the same floor as Lowell and Martin's in the Department of Foreign Languages and Literature, and I much appreciated that neighborhood. The floods of YSU in recent history has swept away the designations of history and foreign language as departments. But my charge in the Department of Foreign Languages and Literatures, until I retired in 2016, was to teach the language, literature, and culture of Russia in what was formerly called the Soviet Union, and to fill in as an instructor of French from time to time. I'm currently studying Ukrainian. Because my father was a professor of American history, I like to joke that the only way to rebel against my patriarch, loving and liberal as he was to study Russian and to spend as much time as possible abroad. And this also honored my mother, who had planned to study art at l'École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, until my father's proposal of marriage that year caused her to change her plans. Like it or not, we are all living American history, and I'm sure that it has escaped no one's attention that we are currently living a constitutional crisis. The Constitution, in fact, is a covenant between the government and we, the people, and we work diligently to fulfill that promise. At the time of its writing, Thomas Jefferson predicted that Unitarianism, allegedly this was, would become our national religion by the end of the 19th century. We still have some work to do here. In any case, the Unitarian Universalist Association has decided it is time for an update of our covenant, which is printed inside your gray hymnal at the very beginning, should you choose to check it out. Now, we have a gray hymnal and we have a teal hymnal, and so the gray hymnal has gotten an update, a dye job, shall we say. But our funding can serve better purposes than printing a new hymnal. The funds, however, that we have spent recently on a new chalice was funding put to good use. And so I gladly offer these words as a prelude to lighting our chalice, as a signal of our covenant with each other.
So I'm going to add an announcement. I don't know if everyone saw in the newsletter, the weekly newsletter, that we are going to have a pool party coming up on the 2nd of September. One of our new members, Kate, in the back there, has offered up her home as a place where we can have our religious education kickoff. And religious education does not just mean children, it means adults as well, because we all come here to educate and explore together. So I'm hoping that everyone will come to that, check it out. We're gonna keep advertising it just to remind everybody about that. Okay, so Nora, you're gonna, what? Saturday or Sunday? Saturday. On Sunday, you'll have to be here for my sermon, okay? Can you move that? So I'm going to tell a story from, it's part of Love Connects Us, which was a tapestry of faith story, okay? And it's called Noah and the Rainbow Covenant. And we're gonna use this book here for some pictures, and you can kind of move around and show people the pictures that are in the book. The pictures might not match what I'm saying, but that's okay. Did you ever make such a mess of your homework that you just got crazy mad and frustrated and wanted to crumple the whole thing up and throw it away? That's how God was feeling looking around at the world. You pour your heart and soul into making this wonderful world full of people and animals and plants, and if you think it's easy, try getting the stripes on a zebra just right. All that effort, and for what? A year or two or 1,500 go by, and the whole thing is a mess. People, what was I thinking? They're rotten to the core. They lie, they cheat, they steal, they murder. There's just not a decent one among them. Dang it all, I should just start all over, obliterate the whole mess and start from scratch. Yep, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So God took a good look around to make sure that there were not, in fact, any decent people about to be destroyed. And it turned out that God found one good, kind, clean living man, the family of a man named Noah. And so God went to Noah and said, this world is just plain no good. And I'm planning on getting rid of all the people except you and your family. So this is what you have to do. Build a really big boat. Big enough for not only you and your family, but also a pair of every kind of animal that there is. I'll give you time, but you better get on it because I'm going to rain this whole place out, and anyone who isn't on the boat is gonna drown. I imagine that Noah had a hard time believing his ears, but he gathered up his family and told them what he had heard. They no doubt had a hard time believing Noah, but they trusted him, and so some of the family set out to build the boat called an ark, while others went and gathered up animals. Of course, everybody else thought that Noah was just plain nuts for building this ginormous boat and filling it with animals, but Noah and his family just kept right on working. And eventually, the rain did come. It rained and rained and rained like no rain that you've ever seen before. It was as if the sky was full of millions of fire hydrants all opened up at once, and the water got higher and higher and covered the land, and the giant boat full of animals and Noah's family gently rose with the water. For days and nights and days, the rain went on until finally it just stopped. The people ran to the windows of the ark and were astonished to see blue sky and blue water and nothing else, just water and sky. There was nowhere to go and nothing to do. So they waited and waited. Finally, one day, Noah sent a raven out to fly around and look for land, but it came back tired, for there was nowhere to rest. Noah waited a week. Then he sent out a dove to fly around and look for land, but it just came back tired too. So he brought the dove back in and waited another week and sent it out again. This time the dove came back with a twig from an olive tree in its beak. It had found land. Eventually, the water backed off enough for Noah to see the ark had come to rest on the top of a mountain, and there was land all around them. Maybe not dry land, probably wet and mushy land, just like the dog park, but land all the same. Finally, the people and the animals were able to leave the crowded, smelly ark and touch the earth. They were all overcome with gladness. And Noah made an altar to thank God for bringing them to safety. "Welcome home," said God. "I will make a deal with you, a promise, a covenant. My covenant is with all the beings of the earth, not just the people. You go forth and populate the earth and fill it again with all your kind. And I promise never to flood the earth again. And as a sign of my covenant with you, I will put a rainbow in the clouds. And every time you see a rainbow, it will remind you of our covenant to create and preserve life." The end. Thank you. Now it's time to go to class. If the children will follow me over to the doorway over there, we'll go to class, which is right down the hall.
Enjoy class. Please join me in reciting our covenant, which is found in your order of service. It's about a quarter down, right? Or so. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our church is completely supported by pledge income from members and friends like you. If you wish to make an offering to us, please designate on your check or envelope that it is for UUYO. Each month, we donate all loose cash and unmarked checks put in the offertory plate to an organization whose mission and actions are consistent with UU principles and the mission of UUYO. Our giveaway the plate recipient for August is SWAG, Sisters Welcoming All Generations. 6 years ago, Hania Price of Warren started her organization. She calls it SWAG, Sisters Welcoming All Generations of Women. SWAG focuses on female empowerment for young girls of all ages, some 6 to 60 or 85, 95. The vast majority of SWAG participants are women and girls of color who often live with adverse experiences like poverty, addiction, parent abuse, and incarceration. SWAG offers monthly gatherings, workshops, support opportunities, as well as to build community. All SWAG programming provides opportunities for forming healthy congregations in a safe environment. Participants are taught self-confidence, how to speak in public and walk in confidence that their voices can change the world. We will now receive the offering that supports the life of all of Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and our wider world.
Tall, get your plane right on time. I know your part'll go fine. Fly down to Mexico. And here I am, the only living boy in New York. I get the news I need on the weather report. I can gather all the news that I need on the weather report. Hey, I got nothing to do today but smile, and here I am, the only living boy in New York. Half of the time we're gone, but we don't know where, we don't know where. Time we're gone, but we don't know where, we don't know where. Tom, get your plane right on time. I know that you've been eager to fly now. Hey, let your honesty shine, shine, shine now. The do, like it shines on me. The only living boy in New York. Half of the time we're gone, but we don't know where, we don't know where. Tom, get your plane right on time. I know you've been eager to fly now. Hey, let your honesty shine, 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 like it shines on me. The only living boy in New York. The only living boy in New York.
Please join me for a time of meditation.
A reading from Article 2 proposal. The purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association is to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. As Unitarian Universalists, congregation to congregation and throughout our association, the goal is to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritage of freedom, inclusion, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that brings us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another to do the work of living our shared values to the spiritual discipline, through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, then, these shared values are interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, and I can't read it, generosity, equity. Once again, the principles, the shared values are interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity.
I tried carrying the weight of the world, but I only had 2 hands. Hope I get the chance to travel the world, and I don't have any plans. Wish that I could stay forever this young, not afraid to close my eyes. Life's a game made for everyone, and love is a prize. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't even know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't even know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. I didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't even know I was lost. Wake me up when it's over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time time I was finding myself, and I didn't even know that I was lost. No, I didn't even know that I was lost. No, I didn't even know I was lost.
I was inspired recently to hear of a large conference of religious leaders from across the world who are comparing religious traditions and sharing insights with the sole intent to engage climate change. They are taking a holistic view toward this challenge, with the learning that though prescribing behavior modification is good, it seems to not be working. Knowing what to do, knowing what's best, and actually doing what we know is best are two very different things, which I think most of us know very, very well. I think maybe all of us actually know that gap. So instead of just focusing on behavior and knowledge, religious leaders are gathering to share wisdom and wonder with each other about how do you awaken to the realities we face and engage them fruitfully. There seems to be an ongoing exploration and sharing, not just around a change of behavior, though that's probably good, and not just gaining information, but this question of how do we shift our orientation toward the world? How do we shift our orientation toward ourselves? How do we change the heart? And what I find really fascinating and inspiring is these religious leaders are exploring these questions like researchers of the Spirit. What seems to work and why? Can it be repeatable? Is it only possible on an individual level? Or can it happen within a whole community? Can it happen globally? I remember Thich Nhat Hanh, before he passed, said the next incarnation of the Buddha will be the community. It will not be an individual teacher or an individual Messiah. The community will become the teacher. The community will become the Messiah. I hope he's right. Many religious traditions, including our own, are undergoing their own transformations, or they're dying out. Many people across different traditions and with no tradition are asking really bold and necessary questions. Questions like, can we rid ourselves of racism as a culture without spiritual transformation? Can we rid ourselves of racism as a culture without spiritual transformation? If the answer is maybe not, then what can our church, our synagogue, our mosque, our sangha play in that? If it seems that knowledge and prescriptive behavior modification is not sufficient to change our human impact on the environment, is there a way to collectively shift our view of who we are fundamentally as humans and as a community? I think this is the greatest time in world history thus far to be alive. I've said that before, but then it keeps getting richer. Yes, in many ways hard. But that hardness is bringing to the surface these pure and noble aspirations. And here's what I find so inspiring. In the past, in many cultures, we've come to think that perhaps these pure and noble aspirations are only for a select few. Someone like Martin Luther King Jr., or Gandhi, or Mother Teresa. Imperfect human beings like us, who led guided by some noble aspiration. But now, the times have changed. We now see to survive, let alone truly live, we have to awaken to this pure and noble aspiration as Joe Schmo. Every person. And that is awe-inspiring. It is scary. And it's exciting. When I think of covenant, I can't help but think of the First Testament of the Bible, which Kathleen read so beautifully, the story of Noah. You know, God has these various covenants with people and individuals. And we see through reading that the ways people respond to the covenant is various. Being obedient, spoiler alert, that's the minority. Running in the opposite direction, a good many. Lying, manipulating, complaining, 95% of people. It's a very human book, and not in a flattering way mostly, which I really like. It's kind of embarrassing to read it sometimes, and it's kind of funny. I didn't think about this until this week, that you can't have Noah without Jonah. Noah, who follows directions to a T, and the directions are very specific and quite ludicrous. Build a boat, save your family from a flood. Now in our time, that actually, unfortunately, is not so ridiculous, maybe. But imagine it was, that it was ridiculous. Noah is the character that represents part of us that is willing to go against the grain, that is willing to go against the cultural norm to save lives. We all have that part in us. But then there's Jonah. How many people actually know the story of Jonah? It's okay if you don't. If you don't, which good people maybe don't. So I'll actually explain a little bit. So he's told to go save people, right? He's told by God, go save this community. And using his own scrutiny, takes a look at these folks and determines these people are never going to change. They can never be saved. And so he tries to outrun God. He lies, he hides. He even gets into a boat and tries to row as fast as he can, trying to get rid of God on his tail. Some people don't realize this, but the story of Jonah is a comedy. It's funny because it's so true. I can very much imagine Jonah talking to God. You send me as a messenger, telling all these people to change their ways. You think they're going to do it? Really? No way. You're sending me on a fool's errand. What's funny is he doesn't even test it out. He doesn't even test it. He looks at the crowd and he already comes to the conclusion without even trying, this is never going to work. It would be like, let's say, imagine this. You, Jane and Joe Schmo, right? Let's say you were given a message. Here's your message. Ready? Come to America. Come to the United States of America and just tell them 3 things. Tell them they can save their coastline if they, 1, give up fossil fuels, 2, quit depending on animal agriculture the way they have been, and 3, just use the sun for energy. Simple. That's your message. Go to America, go to the United States, and tell them that. Yeah, there is a reason why people hate prophets. They bring good news in the form of bad news. They say, this is what happens if you keep doing what you're doing. And to avoid that, you'll just have to completely change your life. It's doable. That's the good news. It's doable. And it almost never works. I can imagine a modern day Jonah. Yeah, just go to any town, USA. Let's see. Youngstown, Ohio. And tell them they're all going to be okay. Just don't drive your cars. Don't eat hamburgers. And don't flip a light switch. Yeah, I'm not even going to be the idiot who tries that, Jonah is probably thinking. We're kind of in a Jonah moment right now. And we're all looking down the belly of the beast in the innards of this great whale. And this little voice is asking us, very slight, is making these changes all that crazy? And we're like, yeah, I think I'm going to spend some time in that belly of this thing for a little while. I'm going to think about it. That's where we are, I think. I grew up with these stories, and they still live and breathe in me. I remember when I was a kid, and we saw this spectacular rainbow. And my dad told me the story of Noah, a story I'd heard before. But he told it in a new way, a way that I've always remembered. He said, you see that rainbow? That's the promise of eternal favor. That's the promise of eternal love. It was a powerful moment. I felt for the first time that part of the story, which I often just heard but never thought of. The grass still fresh and wet from the rain, the land still soggy, and the beautiful translucent rainbow. Eternal favor, eternal love. It's amazing the things we see in nature, and vice versa. Now, many look at nature as a bevy of warning signals. That sense of eternal love, eternal favor. I don't hear too much about that anymore. The signs of nature provoke awe, but right now a kind of fearful awe, a sense of anticipation, of time running out. And maybe that's appropriate right now, but it wouldn't be my first choice. For those who don't know, Article 2, which Melissa just read a small part of, are our section of our bylaws at the Unitarian Universalist Association. It's the part of the covenant that contains our purpose and what our congregations are covenanting to. You'll find it on the front page of your gray hymnal. That's the current. You could flip it open if you want. That's the current covenant. It's the part of the bylaws that explains why we exist and what we do, basically. The times we are living in have caused many to question these fundamental points and gain, or try to gain, greater clarity about why we exist and what we do, basically, that serves persons and communities living through what we're living through in the year 2023. So a group of people wrote a revision of Article 2. It was voted on this last summer at our General Assembly with amendments made. And next summer, a year from now, it's going to be put up for a vote among all our congregations in the United States. For it to pass, we will need 2/3 of the congregations to vote yes, we want this version. There are a lot of opinions about it, which is healthy. I wanted to let you know about it, and I've spoken with a couple of members about perhaps facilitating a further exploration of this to see what we think as individuals and as a community. Because if it passes, and that's an if, I think it is a shift in the way that we orient ourselves as a church community to the pressing demands of our times. There are many parts of this covenant, which Melissa read just a small section of, that many people like to comb through and discuss. I just want to share this morning with you just about one part of it that stood out to me. At the tail end of the purpose, before the covenant, this is what it says. The purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association is to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love, capital L. I'll read it one more time. The purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association is to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. That's worth noting, I think, for two reasons. One is love being capitalized as love, which is a nod to our universalist heritage. It was not planned that we would go from universalism into covenant, but universalism claims as its theology that God is love. So there's a theological statement, which is new for us as a denomination. It's not a creedal statement. It's not a belief statement, but it's a view rooted in our history that we mentioned all throughout the month of universalism. Another thing, which is new to me and quite fascinating, is the new emphasis of love for this time. Did you notice that? It's called liberating love. Liberating love. The emphasis of this particular love is that it is liberating. Those two little words put together intentionally. Liberating love. That, I think, puts us on a different trajectory, in my opinion. It's a shift. One of my mentors said, we are a liberal religion flirting with liberation. That's where we are. We are a liberal religion flirting with liberation. Liberation from what? To what? That, I think, is one of the most pressing questions of this time. Liberation from what? To what? For many liberation theologians, the liberation was literal. Liberation from poverty. Liberation from having to go hungry, be unhoused, not have medical needs taken care of. It was a liberation from circumstances that caused suffering and death. Liberation from inhumane circumstances was the goal for liberation theologians. So that strand of liberation is there. Another strand of liberation you'll find, spiritual liberation. Liberation from the sense of an autonomous, isolated self. Liberation from ourselves. Liberation from the sense that I think, and I think we all feel at sometimes, that in this world, I'm separate. It's to be transformed and lived with a new orientation. Instead of me and you, it's me, you. Instead of us and the world, it's just us, world. Different and one. Another thing I find fascinating about this proposal is it puts us in conversation with both of these camps. It puts us in conversation and close partnership with other religious traditions who have the same intention to live a kind of love that is liberating for our communities and liberating for ourselves. One of my favorite definitions of compassion is that which removes fear. That's compassion. That which removes fear. That which liberates us from fear. It puts us into that kind of conversation, which is not completely new for us. But the emphasis, making it front and center, that's new, I think. That's new. And funny enough, it answers that age-old anxiety, which some of you may have had, about how do you explain what this church is to someone who asks? You know, the old elevator speech, right? What is this about? What are we doing? And according to this revised purpose and covenant, it's liberating love, expressed through our principles. That's what we're about. Pretty simple. But you may not like it. And that's okay too. I'm curious to hear what you think. And as I said, we're going to try to set up multiple opportunities to have conversations about this so that we can thoughtfully vote on this next summer. But I wanted to say, for those who are brand new to this faith, and I know we have many, you've joined at a very exciting time in our history. For those who are brand new, it's very exciting. For those who have been around for decades, your perspective will be important. And I'm curious to hear what you think. I think this is the most significant change to our purpose and covenant since it was first written in 1961. It's been a while. At the heart of this vote, I think, will be the question which we cannot avoid, and that I think actually I hope will be a pleasure to engage. Maybe I'm naive about that, but I hope it will be a pleasure. And the question is, what do we promise? What do we promise? What are we covenanting ourselves to as individuals and as a congregation? Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful for the possibility of liberation. So grateful for those who have come before us and are here with us now in this room, on Zoom, and throughout this city and this world, who have a desire for kindness, who have a desire to remove fear, who have a desire to live into something else more than just a reaction to what is happening. Thank you for the possibility of being here this morning. Thank you for all those who have set this up and made this possible, including all those who have brought food and prepared coffee and set up a space for us to enjoy each other's presence. Please help us to be open and kind to each other, to maybe talk to someone we haven't talked to. All this we pray. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn.
Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come out right. Let's sing it again. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come out right.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we hold in our hearts until we are together again.
The fire is put out. Look at that.
So there's no more fire this time.
That's right. As you depart, please remember the one great fact, including those in the kitchen. You are loved and never truly alone.
When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come out right.
The fuller text of those shared values, I have them right here, and I'll leave it right at this table so you can take a look at it.